Hello everybody, DREAMCORP here again for week 2 of tutorials. So, last week I did another tutorial for one of my songs on my album Become True. I did the song It All Goes Wrong Eventually. If you want to go watch that, you should do that. It's pretty fun. It's a little long, but we're gonna get it shorter this time. We're getting the format down. Yeah, we're figuring it out. Okay, so today we are looking through my song. Let me get inside that mind of yours. It's another ambient track. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty down to go into the project file, but look at that. There's a dog here. We got DREAMCORP. He wanted to look out the window, so I let him. So yeah, dogs and ambient music, they go together, ladies and gentlemen. There you had it. There you've had it. All right, on to the project file. All right, so diving right into this project file, we got a total of about 22 tracks. Not terrible. That's pretty mid-size. Not bad. I think the last one I did was probably like 12 for It All Goes Wrong Eventually. That was only 12 tracks. That's pretty small. This is about mid-range. I have songs that vary in size greatly. Some are like 60 tracks, some are like 20. And it's interesting to see how songs develop because this one feels a lot bigger than it actually is. What makes it sound so big in such a small project file is really just some very specific patches that I chose on purpose, specifically these Junos layered with the DX7. But let's take a look at the first part and break it down a little bit. So right here, we've got our chord progression and melody in the same track. And this is what it sounds like. So yeah, you kind of get the idea here. We're actually only playing with 2 chords. Last song we played with 4, but on this one we're playing with 2. How crazy is that? Yeah, songs don't need to be crazy complicated. Sometimes 2-chord songs just work. I've done plenty of them, and they can be very fun, and the kind of circular pattern of it, that you're going from one chord to the next all the way back to that resolution so quickly, is fun. And right here, I don't usually do this, but the melody is just stacked on top of this chord MIDI, I guess you could say. Makes it easy, and it's one patch. Decrease on CPU usage, so I don't have to have so many instances of this DX7 playing both chords and melody. So yeah, you got that idea here. I think the chords we're playing with today are... So I guess you could analyze this in a few different ways. It kind of looks like we got an F minor triad here with a B flat in the bass, and then we've also got a C sharp, which I don't really know how that factors in. I'm not a music theory genius. The other video I kind of explained this more, but this one I did just purely off like my ear. So I didn't really do this with much thought behind it. It was just, oh, okay, this sounds good. This appears to be an E flat minor 7 chord, and those are the 2 chords that we're dealing with pretty much. So moving on now, as you can see, the song really opens up here at the end of this because we have a filter bringing in the rest of these layers, and it sounds like this. Boom. There you go. The song starts now for real. And now for the interesting part where we'll take a look at some of the layers. I think ambient music is really interesting to me when we have interesting sounds and layers. I find this creatively bankrupt ambient music on Spotify to be really boring when it's just one patch and it's just the same kind of mediocre melody that sounds like you got it off the Unison MIDI chord pack roasted. So I like to play with melodies that I find to be interesting and with sounds that I also find to be interesting, and this is one of them, specifically these Juno patches right here. So you get the idea. Those are pretty cool, and they sound very full. And you can see right here, I'm doing a little bit of panning. I thought when this was just center, it was boring, so I panned it to the left by 30. There you go. DREAMCORP music production tip. Boom. If it sounds bad, pan it. Yeah, there you go. So let's take a look at this patch right here. This very simple effects chain on here. You got EQ8, cutting out the lows, and then boosting a little bit of a highs around, what is that? What are we looking at? Maybe like 4K. We'll call it 4. We got another preset from Roland Cloud. Thank you, Roland Cloud. PD Reso Pad. PD stands for pad, by the way, if you didn't know. Pad. Boom, boom, boom. Don't know what that has to do with that, but yep, you got a pad right there. Very cool. This one specifically sounds like this. That's a pretty cool one. It kind of sounds like you're in Blade Runner. I thought that patch was dope, and it sounds even cooler. We'll come back to a common thing with the last tune. This song is also in an alternate tuning system, specifically 450 hertz. I explained this a little bit in the last video, but the idea is that most Western music is based in a tuning system called A equals 440, where the note A is tuned to 440 hertz, and every other note is spaced equally apart from each other based on that A, pretty much. There's other kind of tuning systems that you can use. Even if you use Ableton, you can see that there's, I think, actually a scale function. Yeah, scale MIDI effect, where you can choose all sorts of scales. And I don't know if this supports tuning systems yet, but I have heard that I think the beta may support alternate tuning systems. But the idea here is that I have artificially tuned this song up by 10 hertz, so it sounds kind of alien and different. And also the physics of it, I explained this in the last video, but I figure I'll do it again here. The physics of sound, by tuning this song up by 10 hertz, everything actually becomes brighter just because physics. Because the higher the notes are, the brighter they are. You know, science is cool. But yeah, I just love using other tuning systems. It's very fun, and it makes me write different chords. And this is one of those instances. And let's look at the other Juno patch. You see the idea there. It's a brass patch right here called 60 Soft Brass. Whoa, it's another preset from Rolling Cloud. There's no shame in using presets. Use them. They're there for your benefit. And honestly, if I had more time to do sound design, I would. But sometimes I don't because I just need to get an idea down. And it works perfectly fine. No shame in using presets unless it's cymatics. Or if you're using Virtual Riot presets, I love you, Virtual Riot. But the people who use Virtual Riot presets are not creative. Unless you change them. Be creative, people. I love you, Virtual Riot. You're my inspiration. Okay, next layer we got going on here. We have a Pro Mars patch that is doing this. You see, it's doing its thing. On our effects chain, we have an arpeggiator that's turned off, so we don't need to talk about that. We also have reverb and an auto filter and an auto pan. The auto pan is doing nothing. We don't need to talk about that. And we also have EQ8, cutting out some of the lows and the mids because you don't really need that on a sound like this. You just need it to kind of go over the top. It's like a garnish, you know what I'm saying? If this was ramen noodles and you took a little bit of the crunchy ones and put it on top, that's what this is. It doesn't need to be the whole dish. It just needs to be a little garnish. So yeah, we got a little Pro Mars on there. Little comment on this reverb. Usually I would not put the reverb on the track itself. I would usually put it on a send, which preserves your dry signal in here. So you have what's called parallel processing, where you have the dry signal and the wet signal together, and you don't just totally wash out the sound. But in this case, this was an intentional choice to wash out this sound because it sounded bad without the reverb. I burped. I'm sorry. This is what it sounds like without reverb. And this is with reverb. It kind of takes that harshness off in a way that like no other effect probably could, and it just makes it sound really dreamy when you put it all together like this. Alright, moving on. We also have the DX7 playing the same chords as the intro, but it just adds some texture. And while these patches are really kind of heavy in the mids, the DX7 gives it a lot of shimmer, especially when we have the melody in the higher octave, like around here. Like all those high notes really provide some shimmer that none of these notes really can have on these other synthesizers. Jeez, I'm having a brain fart now, guys. Lastly, in this part of the song, we have some Juno bass, because who doesn't love the Juno? Again, another preset, BS saw bass. Here we go. So you get the idea. On our effects chain here, we have the Juno 60. We have an EQ8 scooping out everything after around 30 hertz because you don't really need those frequencies and they will mess up your mix. So usually on any mix, I'll cut out a little above 30 hertz in the master chain, and then if there's any bass sounds that I really want to have the lows, but I don't want to have that low, cut out 30 hertz. If you listen to it on club speakers, it'll screw up your mix. And also right here, we have a auto filter that's turned off. Don't need it. Oh, forgot to mention on the EQ8, we also are cutting off some of the high end because you don't need it. And I also added a little bit of Q here because I wanted to add like some resonance, kind of, but a resonance on like an auto filter would be too much. So yeah, a little bit there. And then we have a utility here, which is just making this signal mono. I believe it probably would be mono anyways coming out of the Juno, but if it's not, here you go, it's mono. Sometimes you want the bass mono, sometimes you don't. It really just depends song to song. Sometimes if you have a mono bass, it sounds kind of flat and stupid, but if you have mono on something like this where the track is really big and you just need a solid bass, keep it mono. Moving on now. As the song progresses, we start to add in some more layers, like this Juno lead here. Wow, there's so much Juno on here. Isn't that crazy? The Juno's fun. And we also have some plucks right here. Let's take a look at these plucks soloed. You get the idea. We got the bells from the DX7, the ROM 1A-21-Vibe 1. Pretty cool. I like this. I like the DX7. I love the DX7. It's like one of my favorite synths ever, so I like to use it a lot. And we also got some reverb on the chain again. Whoa! Because, again, I wanted the sound to be really washed out, and it just add texture. Texture is everything. And then these strings right here, this is just Ableton stock strings. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't need contact. You just need Ableton stock. It works. Put some reverb on it. Cut those lows, and you're done. That's all. That's all you need to know about music production, everybody. Anyways, moving on. We also, in this section, have added a lead, and it sounds like this. Got some sine wave action here on the Juno 106. LD, sine lead. LD stands for lead, if you didn't know. There you go. Knowledge. And also on this, I've used this sine lead a lot in a bunch of songs. So I just think it's really pretty, and it has a really interesting ability with this portamento feature here. I have it set pretty low, but just low enough to where it makes a difference. The idea with portamento is that it creates a slide between two notes. So let's say you start on G, and while still holding C, you depress the G note. It will make it sound like it's like whoop, which is fun and can be pretty in a song like this where it's supposed to already feeling alien, like. See there? That sounds cool. Instead of it just being bomb, it's like this is one note, this is one note. Instead of that, it's just like where's the note, but it's cool. And then also on this effects chain, we have a reverb that's turned off. Don't need it. We also have an EQ8 scooping out a lot of the lows and the mids and then boosting a little bit of highs to keep the sound bright. And then we also have a tape stop plugin, Kilohertz tape stop. It's free and it's very useful. I use it on a lot of songs. Where did I use it here? Let's take a look. Aha, we'll get to that in a second. All right, moving on now to the breakdown, ambient music breakdown. Are there any double bass pedals here like in death metal? Nope, but it's still cool anyways. Let's take a listen. There's the idea. I hope you listen to the song. I didn't mean to stop that, but we're going to go with it anyways. All right, in the breakdown, we changed things up a little bit because it's really boring if you just keep the song going with no change. So let's take a look at the chords. So here's our DX7 piano slow load, and we got some of the similar chords, some familiar faces, this F minor over B flat and this E flat minor 7. And we kind of go through this idea a lot. We start to depart a little bit. We start adding some, what is this? It looks like we got like an E major 7 with the 9 over the 9. Really, really big chord, and it's fat, and it's juicy, like a good American burger. Rah, rah, America. The 4th of July was 3 weeks ago. Okay, we kind of have an F sharp minor triad with the 6, and then over the D sharp, which is the 6. And then we have again, and then it looks like here we have a C sharp minor 7 over the A flat again, and then we have, and it kind of looks like here we may have like a sus kind of chord, and that's not a joke, it is called sus, I think. We got a B, D sharp, and an E, and then an F sharp here, which it kind of looks like a B major chord-ish, B major 7-ish. It's like a B major-ish triad. You got B, D sharp, F sharp, and then you got that E in there, which kind of feels like it's a sus chord. But then again, I did this all off feeling, so you don't need to know music theory. Just have a good ear. That's all. Anyways, okay. We also have the remnants of an F minor chord over the A flat again. So yeah, fun times. Let's take a listen to it. And then now for the juicy part. Right here, I spent so much time in a Berkeley practice room trying to figure this part out because I needed a way to get to another key, and I didn't know how to do it with this 2-chord progression, so I came up with this, which is kind of gnarly. And again, this kind of happened on accident too, so I'm analyzing this on the fly. And then again, we have some kind of E flat minor energy in here with the 9, I think, no, wait, that's not the 9. Flat 9, possibly. I'm not really sure, honestly. We're going with the flow here. And then we also got some more of this energy, almost the same chord, but with no F, and we instead have a G sharp in the bass. And then right here, this appears to be an E major 7 over the 9, and this appears to be a B minor 7 over the 5. How fun is that? We're having some fun here. Again, this is what it sounds like. There you go. And then we get into the second part of the breakdown, which kind of introduces some new ideas, but possibly in a different way, or old ideas in a new way. Whoa, how crazy is that? Let's take a listen. And then just like that, we're in a new key. How crazy is that? So this first time around, I did that kind of the fancy chord thing. This, it was a fake out because I went to the old chords. But the second time, I took it all the way through to its natural conclusion to take it to that new key, which I think is about, I took it down by a 4th or up by a 5th, depending on how you look at it. So we started with E flat in the original key, and then now we're going to A sharp. Really, this should be in flats, but I don't know how to change it. This is Ableton 12. Stupid Ableton. So yeah, took it up by 5 or down by 4, depending on how you look at it. Steps, that is. And yeah, we got the new key, and that pretty much takes us out of the rest of the song. Ooh, little fun fact for you here. We've got some cool tape stop effect. Isn't that so cool? This is what it sounds like in context. Yeah, I love tape stop. I've used it on a few tracks. It's pretty fun. With the tape stop, what I've done is currently with this automation, you see this part that looks like a canyon right here. This says, hey, stop the tape. And then right here, once it looks like you're out of the canyon, it says to play the tape. And the stop time and the start time have been turned up. The start time is pretty much how long it takes the tape to get up to speed to where the pitch sounds like normal. And with that, you get that cool kind of sound. The stop time doesn't really matter here because I'm not stopping anything, but for this effect to work, you really need to have the tape stop a little bit before this note plays and then start in the middle of it. The VST is still playing the note, but the tape stop is affecting it. So yeah, kind of complicated, but there you go. And then, of course, down here we have some FX to just take us into this new section of the song. I sometimes like using FX in ambient music just to signal a change and be like, aha, we've arrived. And sometimes I don't. It really just depends on the song. Like, I just made a song yesterday where there's, like, no effects and it's just saw waves. The song didn't need effects. It just sounds cool how it is. But this one I felt like needed some kind of direction to pull it into the new section. Oh, alliteration possibly. So yeah, the new song kind of ends in this key, and then we have a cool little ending that I want to talk about real quick, and we'll just play the last part of it. Kind of screwed that up, but if you heard the song, you kind of know what the idea is. We have a tempo automation that takes us from 85 BPM all the way down to 60 BPM, so it kind of feels like everything's slowing down, and then we hit that last chord. How creepy is that? That's pretty creepy, I think. So all this is, this fancy part down here, is really just some DX7, the electric piano that's used throughout the entire song, but you got some redux on it, which is also called bit crusher. And yeah, we just decrease the bit rate, and it sounds really creepy, and it sounds like it's broken down. So yeah, how about that? That's pretty much the entire song. That was way quicker than last time, so we're getting there, fellas. We're doing it. We're making it happen. Anyways, I hope this tutorial was useful to you in the future. Probably in the next couple weeks, I'm about to launch a Patreon, and I'm going to start posting stems and MIDI files. So if you want to play around with my projects, see what I do, they'll all be there eventually. I'll make a more formal announcement once those are available. Anyways, y'all, this is DreamCorp, getting inside that mind of yours. Peace out.